What is the recipe for revolution? What happens when the guns fall silent? In most cases, the process of nation building requires three things: a historical perspective on what's happened in the past, a creative, artistic vision for the future, and cash. Today, I'm going to tell you a story about the nation of Haiti and the process of nation building that's been going on there for over 200 years. I suspect that this story will contradict and reframe nearly everything that you know about Haiti based on typical news reports from North America. To do this, I'm going to start with a very specific example. And this example I can expand on and tease out a little bit, show you how I work with this material as someone who specializes in ancient Greek and Roman culture. And then I will pan out and take us on a journey into the past. In 2021, the Haitian hip-hop duo D5 Poet Revolt and Kenneth S. dropped a new album. In the middle of the title track, we hear these two lines that today we can see on the screen. The first line is composed in Haitian Creole, the only language spoken by the majority of Haitians, and it means die brave, live free. If that sounds a little bit like Patrick Henry's American Revolutionary slogan, live free or die, then you're in exactly the right ballpark. Because with small variations, that same slogan was used in the American, French, and Haitian revolutions. The second line, however, is composed in ancient Latin, and it samples Julius Caesar's Veni, Vidi, Vici, I came, I saw, I conquered. But here, these artists have extended that line, rebalanced the sound, included an extra intellectual element. And in so doing, they have, in just two lines, gathered together a few thousand years of history, a handful of different cultural and language contexts, and they have created a perfect marriage of revolutionary history and verbal artistic mastery. To understand the tradition that they are building on, I now want to take us a little further into the past. We all know that the American Revolution was fought against British monarchy, and in the name of slogans such as, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." Once the new nation of the United States was on its feet, it began to look to ancient Greece and Rome for models with which it could build its new nation. Today, I'm going to use this image of the Roman pantheon as something of an Easter egg for the first half of my talk, precisely because it comes back so many times in so many different cultural contexts, such as the Jefferson Memorial, or even right here on Ohio State's campus, where the rotunda of the shoe is designed to look like a cross-section of the interior of the Roman pantheon. Jumping across the Atlantic and forward in time, a little more than a decade, we come to the French Revolution, also fought against monarchical oppression and with slogans such as liberty, equality, and brotherhood. Just as in the United States, the newly rebooted nation of France looked to Greco-Roman models for the raw material of building its intellectual and architectural infrastructure. And here on the right, you see the Parisian version of the Roman pantheon. But for all the nobility and progressive ethics of these two revolutions, we also know that both the United States and France endorsed a legalized economy based on enslavement of other humans for decades after their revolutionary triumphs. If we want to find a revolutionary movement that truly lived up to the Enlightenment ideals of equality and freedom, we have to go to the Caribbean nation of Haiti. In the foreground of this shot, We see the memorial to the abolition of slavery in downtown Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and in the background, the National Palace, which, like so many governmental buildings in the United States, like the White House, the Capitol building, is modeled on Greco-Roman architectural ideals. Haiti, too, has its own version of the Pantheon. But if we can say this about the outcome of the Haitian Revolution, it will help us better understand the social context if we go one step further back to see its origin stories. Before the nation of Haiti existed, there was the French colony of Saint-Domingue. This was the single richest plot of land in all the Americas because it was exporting massive amounts of sugar and coffee in particular to Europe and all over the world. But this massive amount of wealth that earned Saint-Domingue the nickname the Pearl of the Antilles was predicated upon a particularly brutal system of enslavement. And in 1791, there was an uprising of enslaved people in Saint-Domingue that quickly morphed into a solid and well-organized resistance movement and revolutionary military engagement, primarily under the leadership of this man, Toussaint Louverture. And I'm going to use his name as my next Easter egg because it'll come back, so remember the name Toussaint for just a couple minutes. Once Haiti had earned its independence in 1804, it began to develop all of the predictable infrastructure that any new nation would hope to develop. And here I want to do a little test and look to both the United States and Haiti, the first two independent nations in the Western Hemisphere, and see how they were doing 20 years after their independence. In the United States, we find something that I'm betting most of us learned about in middle school or perhaps high school, namely the Louisiana Purchase. In 1803, the United States more or less doubled in size for essentially pennies on the acre. I was taught in school that this was an amazing windfall for our country. But what I was not taught, and what I suspect very few people are taught, is that the reason that France was so desperate to unload this territory was that Napoleonic France had just sent out a massive armada, hoping to crush the Haitian revolutionaries. And when that armada was absolutely decimated, France needed money fast. And so the growth and prosperity of the United States owes a direct debt of gratitude to the Haitian Revolution. So let's check back in on Haiti 20 years after its revolution and see how it's doing. Hopefully, it would be doing just as well as the United States. But instead, I have to introduce the concept of fiscal neocolonialism. France sent gunboats into the Port-au-Prince harbor and forced the leaders of Haiti to agree to an enormous payment, essentially a payment that would allow France to recognize the existence of Haiti. This payment was so large that it took Haiti years to pay it off. And this debt, which the United States actually eventually took over from France, was so large that the economic historian Thomas Piketty has estimated that in 2020 US dollars, Haiti is owed $45 billion. I want to let that number sink in for just a moment. And I want to imagine what a new nation about the size of Maryland could do with $45 billion. Or more precisely, what could a new nation not do if deprived of $45 billion of wealth? We can find the outlines of an answer to this question in a surprising place, namely the Hollywood blockbuster films about the Black Panther series. And this is a little bit of a spoiler for those of you who haven't seen the most recent film, so I apologize in advance, but at the end of Wakanda Forever, we learn that King T'Challa had a son, and that he's been raised in secret in Haiti, and his name is Toussaint. By connecting Toussaint with Toussaint Louverture in the place of Haiti, we can see that the concept of Wakanda, this black nation untouched by colonialism that has amassed massive amounts of wealth, may in some ways be a model of what Haiti could have been. And as we move into the world of narrative, I'm going to shift into the work that I do with Haitian literature more directly. The first novel ever published by a Haitian author was hit the shelves in 1859. It was written in French, and it was called Stella. It was composed by a man named Émeric Bergeau, and he retold the Haitian Revolution in very simplified form. Instead of having a large and complex cast of realistic historical characters, he boiled down the revolutionary movement to two symbolic figures, which he found in ancient Roman mythology. Romulus and Remus were little boys who were raised in the wild, famously suckled by a she-wolf, as we see here in this statue from Cincinnati. And when they grew to adulthood, they built a new city and argued over who would have the right to name it and rule it. In their struggle, they quickly became violent with one another, and Romulus ended up killing his brother Remus. In so doing, he did earn the right to give his name, Romulus, to Rome and to become its first king. But the growth and expansion of Roman power was always haunted by the legend of Romulus killing his brother. When this story is taken into the Haitian context, however, Stella does not reiterate the same failings of the Roman brothers. Instead, just as Romulus has gained the military advantage over his brother and is about to kill him, they reaffirm their friendship, their brotherhood, their love, and they work together to win the Haitian Revolution, offering the nation of Haiti a new and positive version of the myth of ancient Rome. Jumping forward about a century, we come to the playwright Félix Morisseau-Leroy. He staged a play and published the manuscript, which represents the first text ever published in Haitian Creole, again, the language of the majority of Haitians. And this play was a version of the ancient Greek myth of Antigone. In that myth, Antigone is a teenage girl who has just seen her brothers, leaders of revolutionary factions, fighting against one another. She has seen them die in battle. In fact, one killed the other. The new king has decreed that this brother will receive state burial with all pomp and circumstance, whereas this brother will be left unburied for the dogs and the birds to devour. Antigone takes it upon herself to care for both her brothers, to show them equal love, and to stand up against the king, exposing herself to danger, eventually even dying for the right to bury her brother. Again, when this story comes into the Haitian context, it is repurposed, riffed upon, changed in fundamental ways, being infused with the Haitian Creole language, with the rhythms and idioms of the Haitian people, and perhaps most importantly, infused with the spiritual realities of the Vodou pantheon. Coming closer to our own time, we find the Haitian-Canadian novelist Danny Laferriere. In 2001, he published a novel called The Cry of Mad Birds. This is a strange and wonderful novel that recounts his last day in Haiti, but it does so in fictionalized form. And as Laferriere recounts these over-dramatized and changed and wonderful and mysterious adventures, he models his own biographical character on the figure of Odysseus, taken from ancient Greek mythology, the wandering adventurer trying to get home from the Trojan War. But Laferriere was not trying to get home. He was trying to find a new home in Canada. And so the figure of Odysseus is paired with Legba from the Vodou pantheon, whom you see here on the right. Legba is a spirit who controls gateways, pathways, intersections, and everything that a traveler needs to be safe. And by bringing together these two figures, Laferriere creates for us a modern novel about the realities of finding a new home in new nations, in a world that's dominated by narratives of statelessness, transnational migrations, and refugees. So as our journey comes back to the starting point with DeFi, Powhatan Revolt, and KenFS, I hope that we can all better understand that the images that we see about Haiti in the news, which almost always are dominated by political instability and above all poverty, are only telling one side of the story. And that the artists that I have gathered together here today are giving us a different vision, a vision that is historical by telling us what might have been, and optimistic by offering an artistic vision of what might yet still come to pass. Thank you.